Hi everyone, Richard Robbins here. Well, the results are in. How is our fair housing policy that the government implemented around the middle of April affected the Toronto Real Estate Board's market, which takes in the whole Golden Horseshoe area? So I want to talk to you about that today. And believe me, if you're reading the newspapers, like bubbles burst. Oh, market's terrible. Prices going down. Stop reading the newspapers. What bleeds, reads, okay? You have to know what's really going on so you can counsel your buyers and sellers. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take you through the numbers, help you understand the numbers, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how can you counsel buyers and sellers, because let's face it, there's some uncertainty, there's some fear out there right now. In my last video a month ago, I talked about the psychological effect that it has on buyers and sellers where there's any change in a marketplace, because they don't know what to do. They're thinking, should we wait to buy? Should we buy now? Should we wait to sell? Should we sell now? So I'm going to talk to you about it. The video is going to be a little longer than other ones that I've done, but I want to get this content to you. First of all, let's have a look at the numbers. Here's May 2017. Now keep this in mind. This is for all of the Toronto Real Estate Board, which takes in Toronto proper, plus many outlying areas, okay? Includes Oshawa, Aurora, Newmarket, it goes out to Burlington. So this is a very large area, and I'll talk about how you should break it down in just a moment. So if you look at sales, we're 10,196, opposed to April, okay, they were down by about 12%. So sales were a little bit off. Not a lot off, but they're a little bit off. And if we compare it to May of last year, they were down about 20%. We had 12,000, almost 13,000 in the same month in 2016, and we had about 10,200 in May of 2017. New listings from the month before, from April, they're up about 20%, but they're up about 49% from May of last year. And I'm sure you agree, generally May's a little busier month, okay, than April is in the real estate market. Active listings, and these are the two big numbers that I like to look at. 18,500, you can see we're up about 47%, okay, sort of from April, but look at this, it's up 43% from May of last year. So when you look at these numbers, you could get caught up in this. You can think these are significant. And I'm not trying to say they're not significant, but what I'm saying is we're still in a very good real estate market. Let's look at months of inventory. If you watched the video a month ago, you heard me talk about this. The first rule of economics is supply and demand. Lots of supply, little demand, prices go down. Very little supply, big demand, prices go up. Sometimes you have balanced supply, balanced demand, prices remain stable. Remember I said around 5 months of inventory is where you have more of a balanced market. Well, right now, we're still operating with 1.8 months of inventory. So in other words, 18,477 listings, okay, at the end of the month, the end of May, we sold 10,196. You can see that gives us 1.8. Just take this number and divide that number into it. It gives you 1.8. We had 1.1 last month in April, okay, and we had exactly 1 month in May of last year. So this has gone up. Now, if you were watching the video I did 30 days ago when I talked about this, my prediction, I said you're going to see this number move to 1.82 or 2.2 by the end of May, which it has. But I want to caution everybody because I get these numbers from Market Watch. But if you look at Market Watch, which Toronto Real Estate Board produces for all of the members, it says there's only 1.1 month of inventory if you read through it. But you want to know something? That's not the way I calculate it because that's called a 12-month rolling average. Well, I don't care what happened 12 months ago. I don't care what happened 6 months ago. I don't care what happened 4 months ago. I care what's happening right now. And right now, at the end of the month, we had 18,500 listings and we sold 10,000. That means we got 1.8 months of inventory. You all with me there? Now, here's what you want to do with these numbers. I would suggest all of you should take a good look at Market Watch, okay? You can get on the Toronto Real Estate Board site. You can just read it online. You can print it, download, whatever you want to do with it. And what you want to do is you want to calculate what's going on in your marketplace. It doesn't matter what's going on in the greater Toronto marketplace, okay, the Golden Horseshoe marketplace. What matters is what's happening in your marketplace, plus the type of housing. So if you're working condos, your comparison should be with condos. If you're working a certain geographical area, should be a certain geographical area. If you're working detached, whatever the case is, so that you can do a fair comparison. Because when a market starts to shift, Which market gets affected the most and the quickest? High end. So right now, if you go on Market Watch and you look at prices, like very high prices in a certain region, you'll see their sales will be off much more than sort of a lower price or an average price. So right now, if you're in Toronto, and if you're looking at a house that was priced at, say, $1 million, they're probably still getting multiple offers. So it's all based on supply and demand, but you got to know the numbers for the markets you work in. If you work in new markets, you need to know those numbers. Oshawa, you need to know those numbers. North Oshawa would be different from South Oshawa. So I hope you see what I'm saying here. Your responsibility, the consumer, is to assist them in making a decision that is in their best interest, which means you got to give them all the information so they can make that decision. Now, you might have to assist them with the decision, but help them see what's going on, because when they become an informed buyer and an informed seller, they're going to make more rational decisions. Remember I talked about the psychological effect. Whenever there's a change, if interest rates go up, the government comes along and puts in new regulations like the fair housing policy. There's a psychological effect. Everybody stops for a while. Buyers are sitting, oh, maybe we better not buy right now because who knows what's going to happen. Maybe prices are going to start to dive, right? Sellers are sitting there and say, hey, maybe we better get the home in the market because maybe prices are going to go down and we need to sell now. This is what they think. That's called the psychological effect. Well, what are they basing their thinking on? It's irrational thinking. Base your thinking on facts. Make it logical thinking, and that becomes your job. So my advice, or I would encourage you, if you're working with a buyer, is to sit down with a buyer and you want to study the actual numbers that are taking place in the area and the type of house that they want to buy and show them what's going on. Listen, if we've only got 1.8 months of inventory, market's still very strong. Obviously, if you're working, say, a condo area and say there's 5 months of inventory, you've got a different marketplace. So you need to know these numbers. You want to advise sellers, you got to do exactly the same thing, okay? So I believe that your responsibility, and that's why I'm doing this video, is for you to understand what's happening in the marketplace that you're serving in, the marketplace that you're working with a buyer in, a marketplace you're working with a seller in. Pull these numbers off, put these numbers together for them, print out Market Watch if you have to, take Market Watch with you when you go on a presentation, and sit down and have a valuable conversation. Take away the fear, take away the uncertainty that the consumer has right now, because they don't understand the market like you. And I promise you this, if that consumer is reading the headlines in the paper, they're not getting, okay, the right impression of what's happening in the marketplace. Because just because they print it doesn't mean it's always true. You know what I'm saying here? Okay? Some people call it fake news. Just kidding. Anyway, I hope this was helpful to you, but I'm encouraging you, get to know the market numbers in your market. Have great conversations with buyers, great conversations with sellers. Tell them what's really going on. Take the fear, the uncertainty out of the decisions they have to make, and then help them make the best decision that's best going to serve them. And remember, everybody, it's a beautiful life. Make it count.